What's up, guys? Today I'm bringing you another video, and today we're going to be talking about the 4.6 drop on my 2000 Silverado, codenamed Blondie. I've lowered the truck about a month ago, I would say, and today I'm going to be showing and telling you everything you need to know before you start lowering your 99 to 06 Silverado, and everything I wish I would have known. But before that, I'm going to get the truck washed up and pulled in the garage, so I will get y'all a montage of that. Okay guys, I got the truck all washed up and pulled in the garage, and the first thing I want to start talking about is the front. So for the front setup, I have 2-inch lowering springs, and also I have 2-inch drop spindles. The most important thing I want to tell y'all about the front is if you want to use 17-inch wheels and use 2-inch drop spindles, you will have to cut your lower ball joint, stud, and nut. If you don't, it'll rub the inside of the wheel, it'll sound awful, and then you'll have to end up doing that. I think it's better just to go ahead and run 18s and up, so you don't have to deal with that, and it will be safer at the end of the day. Another thing about the front that I want to mention is it is a good idea to go ahead and replace all your suspension parts while you're up underneath the truck, because more than likely it needs new tie rod ends, inner tie rods, upper and lower control arm ball joints. So it is a good idea just to go ahead and replace everything. It's a little bit more expensive that way, but it definitely rides a whole lot better at the end. Also, go ahead before you start the project, about a week before, start spraying all the bolts that you're going to have to mess with WD-40 or some kind of penetrating lube. If you do that about a week before, every day or every other 2 days, the bolts are going to be a whole lot easier to get off. It'll be easier to separate the ball joints out of there, the tie rod ends to come out. Your job will go a whole lot more smoothly if you do that. These are two tools that will make the job go a whole lot more smoother in the front. The first is an inner tie rod tool if you decide to take that off. I struggled with the inner tie rod tool for about an hour with a pipe wrench, and I went to go get this from Advanced. It was about 15 to 18 bucks, and it came right off in just a minute. This is a pickle fork, and it is used for separating your tie rod ends or your ball joints from your steering knuckle or spindle. This makes your life a whole lot easier. If you're sitting there beating on it with a hammer and it's not coming out, try this, and most of the time it'll work. Both of these are about $15 to $18 from any auto parts store, and they work great. Also, mark your alignment pins. I cannot stress this enough on how important it is to, before you mess with anything, take a paint marker or a Sharpie and mark your alignment pins on your upper control arm. This way, if anything moves or you have to take the bolts out, you can put it back to exactly how it was, and it'll be pretty close to being perfectly aligned if it's perfectly aligned before you started the project. Total cost for everything on the front was about $600 or $700 for everything in the front, including the drop springs and drop shocks, which was a marketplace deal, and they are Beltec and they ride great. The 2-inch drop spindles and the front end rebuild kit, which, like I said, I went the expensive route. You can definitely do it a whole lot cheaper, but I went the expensive route just so I could spend once and cry once. Moving on to the back, the most important thing I have to say is do not cheap out on your flip kits. I did, and as you can see, my axle sits about a 1/2 inch over the flip kit thing itself because of these ears. And they started to bend a little bit, and I need to replace that. It's just because I bought the cheapest one off Amazon. Just spend a little bit more on the flip kit part. You'll all be spending about 40 more bucks. The second thing I have to say is if you get a bolt-on notch, it's okay. Plenty of people have been completely fine with it. But if you have access to a welder, you might as well lay just a couple beads for extra support on the sides. Also, another thing with the back is when you lower it, you're going to want to get drop shocks. I got some off Amazon, Max Speeding Rod brand, 5 to 7 drop shocks, and they ride amazing for the back. I have no complaints with them at all. Also, something else I want to mention is when you are cutting out your frame for the C-notch, it is a good idea to set your C-notch on a big piece of cardboard and trace around it. Then cut that up and hold it up to your frame, and that will be your template. How they measure is, as you can see, I still have a yellow paint marker dot on my bed rail right there. You want to measure from the center of that to the center of your C-notch. That's how you measure on that. Also, another thing, you will probably have to cut your exhaust off before the axle, because if you don't, it will hit on your axle in the bed and it'll just make a horrible racket. So you want to add that into consideration before starting the project. Also, just kind of stating the obvious here, but you're probably going to have to go down on wheel and tire size too. I do not know the general rule of thumb on what to get, but if you have 17s, I'm using 255/60 R17s, and they seem to fit perfectly. I have no rubbing anywhere on the front or the back. Also, for the back, if you have a couple buddies, invite them over and do the flip kit with them, because it is 110% easier to get your axle above your leaf springs when you have a couple buddies helping you mangle it over. Makes it a whole lot easier. And you're going to want to do the same as you did with the back, with spraying everything down about a week ahead of time. It will make everything go a lot smoother. So to sum it up for the back, it'll be easier if you have a couple buddies to work on it. Go ahead and start spraying all your bolts down. Make sure you don't cheap out on your flip kit, and make sure you get drop shocks as well. So for the total cost on the back, the flip kit was about 60 bucks and the drop shocks were about 120. So you're spending about $200 in the back and $200 in the front. So I'm in this truck $800 lowering it, but you have to also consider you're going to get smaller wheels and tires, or just smaller tires. So you want to add about another $300 if you don't already have smaller tires for it. So like I said, the whole project's going to be about $1,000 to $1,500 depending on if you get tires and how expensive you want to go with it. But overall, I think it is completely and totally worth it. I love it. I think my truck looks great. The stance is perfect on it. And it rides good too for being a slam truck. I couldn't be happier with it. So if you have any questions about anything else you want to know, leave them down in the comments and I will respond to them. Thanks for watching.